Rob, Rob, I, Rob, I can't hear you. Hold, hold, hold on. Let's just do this in person.
Let's just do it. You're right. This is too complicated.
Hey guys, the Medicare minister here. Oh, sorry.
Just kidding. Hey guys, what's up? The Medicare minister here, and I'm here with the one and only Medicare guru, Mr. Justin Brock. I kind of feel like that movie Split thing's going on, where you have multiple personalities because you have the Medicare guru, the Medicare goober.
That's not me.
Okay, that's not you. Okay, and then even someone today was saying the Medicare goblin, because I think you said something about a goblin. So who knows how many personas he has, but I'm here with Mr. Justin Brock. He's the president and owner of our company, and have a lot of respect for you, man. Much love. So thankful to work here with you, and thank you for doing this. I know you're a busy guy, and just wanted to take time to interview you today. And before I get into that, please like and subscribe on this channel. Turn your notifications on. We're going to be having awesome interviews like this where leaders like Justin are going to be giving us some success and leadership principles to help us grow. Comment on it, share it with as many people as possible. And so I wanted to put that little reminder before I dive in to today, because this is what one of the things when I started this channel is everybody knows the Medicare side of you, right? We hear you all the time talk about Medicare and Plan Gs and Plan Fs and prescription drug plans. But really, I wanted to do something just a little bit different on this channel and talk more about the success and leadership principle sides of things, okay? And so I know a lot of people may know you on your channel, but a lot of people may not know you on the channel that the Medicare Minister channel. So can you give a quick bio, even include the military part in there if you don't mind, and kind of how you got started in this particular industry, the Medicare industry?
Yeah. Quick bio is I grew up in a real small town, less than 1,000 people. My dad, around the time I was getting into high school, he got into insurance pretty heavily and was writing a little bit of everything, but started finding kind of a niche into Medicare supplements, and saw him climb out of what I would consider, American poverty, not
Sure.
international poverty,
Right.
but American poverty into, strong middle class. So I had a good perception of the insurance industry from seeing it do that. But I still thought it was boring.
Sure.
So I went into the Marine Corps for 8 years. And around 4 years, I was actually thinking about getting out. 4 years in,
Sure.
and my son was born, he was about to be born, and so I re-enlisted because there was some uncertainty. I had considered getting out and getting into the insurance industry after that. But that was right around the time the Affordable Care Act was signed. It didn't actually go into effect until several years later.
Right.
But it created some uncertainty in the marketplace for sure. And so I did my inactive duty the last 4 years of my 8-year period on active duty in Japan. While I was in Japan, I had my daughter. While I was I did a couple of tours, different areas, and a whole lot of training missions all over the world. Got to see the world. Got out. I wanted to get out most of the time I was in there, because the military is kind of, it's cool for what it is, and I did get to see some things, and I don't regret it at all. But it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't reward autonomy, especially on the enlisted side.
Right.
And so I always kind of felt suffocated, but it kind of got me into that thing that Americans do where they get into life and they're just kind of like, well, as long as I can pay my bills and keep my family fed, I'll be happy, which is not true, but it's something we start telling ourselves.
Right.
And I get into the insurance industry, and I was even carrying that into insurance. I went into Medicare because my dad had seen success in Medicare, and I started to understand the concept of renewals and residual income just from seeing it work on him to some degree. And when I went into it myself and I started getting rewarded for my own work, I kind of became a workaholic, and it was like an addiction to work really hard and be rewarded for it. And so you know me now, I pretty it's like my work is my hobby. It's everything. I have family and work. It's a big part of what I do. and I just fell in love with it, with Medicare and help, the insurance industry. And then a few years ago, we founded some online things targeting agents, just for free, like free groups, the Medicare Gurus group on Facebook.
Sure.
It used to be called Medicare Coach. Now it's Medicare Gurus. But when we founded that, we found there's a lot of attention out there, it's an industry that's starved for content because
Sure.
the average age is a little older, and I think 59 now, depending on who you ask, 54 to 59. And so a lot of the younger guys that are coming into the industry, they want to go on YouTube and they want to go places and find
Right.
things.
Yeah.
And now that we're putting it out there, even some of those, the 55-year-olds are finding it and being like, wow, I wish this was around when I started. So putting out content became, a passion of mine, because there's just people that would tell you, hey, this changed my
Sure.
whole practice. Man, you have no idea how great this has been. And that was really cool. It's like agents were more gracious even than most of my most gracious clients were. So, and I developed this goal that I have now. I like these grandiose goals, and one of them it's even difficult to measure to some degree, but we want to help a million Medicare beneficiaries, and we can't do that by ourselves.
Right.
We need more agents.
Right.
And so that's kind of bringing you from childhood quick to where we are now.
So, military. What do you think it was about the military that has contributed to your success today? I know you talked about the lack of autonomy, but would you narrow it down to a couple of things? Or is there one main thing that you said, my military experience helped me develop into this guru persona that I have today?
So as a teenager, up until I did a year of college before I went into the Marine Corps, but for those few years, I would hop a job as soon as I was like, oh, there's a better opportunity, there's a better opportunity. Military doesn't let you do that. You're doing what they want you to do.
Right.
And so I think getting me into changing the scope of my mind into finding this lane and staying the course helped, so that when I get into the insurance industry, my brain was already programmed to think, okay, this is what you've decided to do, so this is what you're going to do. It's not like, well, this is hard, let me try something else. Oh, well, this is hard, let me try something else.
Right.
Which is what a lot of people get into.
Right.
They don't have the grit to get through it, and the military kind of forces you through things. Anybody that's done anything physical, like the military, even early on, breaks down those mental barriers. A lot of mental barriers are tied to physical accolades, and those physical accolades, run a mile, run 2 miles, run 3 miles, run 4 miles. I go into Marine Corps boot camp like an idiot, never having ran more than a mile and a half. And I remember I was like, okay, I ran a mile and a half. The next day, they're like, today's running 2 miles. It's like, okay, I think I can do that. The next day, they're like, well, they were running 3 miles. I'm like, shit, I've been running 3 miles. And so then later on, they're like, well, now we're running 5 miles.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you start thinking some of the things that you didn't think you could do, it wasn't that you couldn't do them, it's you had not done them yet.
Right.
And so having that grit, I think, helps you. And it also, I don't know if this came from the military or not, but I've always had this idea that if somebody else could do something, surely I could do it too.
Sure. Yeah.
So anytime I'd see somebody doing great things in the industry, I was never jealous or covet what they do. I just thought, I bet I can do that.
Sure.
And that's got me to where we are.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because we talked about this on another interview that I did, that we have seasons in our life where we have to command our feelings instead of letting our feelings dictate to us. And I think a lot of people switch jobs and hop from place to place to place. And listen, if you're watching today, this is a nugget that he just dropped, because even I'm 46, 31, but even when I first came on board, Justin said, if you just stay in this lane and master it, okay? And even though I knew that, it was like he has been preaching that from day one since I've been here. And I think that's a nugget for a lot of people, Justin, because they want get rich quick. They want to jump from this to that and this, and they never master anything.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Most people don't. They get, if the Medicare is a, first of all, in that specific niche, is a residual compounding thing. It's not a get rich quick. It's a get rich slow.
Yeah.
But it is a get rich lane.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of get rich lanes.
Right.
I mean, you could do a lot of things and get there. I happen to think Medicare is a great, concept when someone can stay the course for a couple of years, because it's like, an avalanche that
Sure.
just takes time to kick up. Um, but you're right, because most people, like I've seen people in the industry that'll come and they'll get like contracts from you for Medicare.
Yeah.
Then I'll see them on Facebook talking IULs and annuities, and it's like 3 months after they got into Medicare. And I'm like, you haven't given it enough time. You're like, oh, shiny object, I can go after the big money. Why would I can't imagine why somebody would trust somebody 3 months in the industry to give them investment advice based off of a YouTube video they watched.
Right.
But that's what they try to do, is they're chasing that golden goose. That really, the golden goose is in time and pressure.
Sure.
And so I do believe that's very important. I do think there's some aspects of the military that helped me realize that earlier.
Sure. And so, kind of backtracking, went into the military, didn't think insurance was for you initially, or you just weren't interested, came back, re-enlisted again because there was some inconsistencies. What finally made you say, okay, I'm taking this leap forward. My dad has started something. I see some success here. What finally made you take that leap of faith into the Medicare industry?
Well, I had my son, we go to Japan when I re-enlisted. We go over there, and we had to be there for at least 3 years. We'll go over to a little base called Iwakuni, Japan. It's a real small military installation in like rural Japan.
Okay.
Rural Japan is still somewhat populated, but it was like farm town,
Yeah.
And we get over there, and they all of a sudden say, okay, you're going to go to Okinawa for 2 months, and your family's staying here. Okay, now you're going to go for 4 weeks, 3 weeks to Thailand. Now you're going to go for 2 or 3 weeks to Guam. So I leave North Carolina, where I was at, where it would be 6 or 7 months in Iraq or Kuwait.
Sure.
But it would be home a year. To 2 months gone, 1 month back, 4 weeks gone, 1 month back. And I had a baby who kept forgetting who I was every time I get home. And then towards a couple of years into that, we had Grace, my daughter. And I was like, this lifestyle doesn't fit with who I want to be as a person anymore.
Right.
I had grown out of it personally. And there are some people I tell all the time, you should re-enlist. You should stay in the military. Because some people, that's their aptitude. I've made that recommendation to family members before, that I thought that it was a good lane for them. But you have to be self-aware. And for me, it was not a good permanent solution to life for me. I did not want to retire. I had several people say, oh, don't you wish you'd done those other 12 years so you get retirement? No, not at all. I'm 7.5 years into this, 8 years into this. And I used to be able to, in the military, I used to be able to look into the pay systems, because I was in operations. So I had a lot of access to different things. I had this access into this system called MOL, Marine Online, and you could go in and see what people's paychecks were. So of course, what do? I go into the highest ranking people that I could see in my unit, like the O5s, the lieutenant colonels, the commanding officer of the unit. And back then, I'd look at it and be like, man, his paychecks are $5,000 twice a month. He's making $10,000, $11,000 a month. And I was like, that's balling money right there.
Right.
And, not to get too into what my income is, but it's way more than that now.
Sure, yeah.
So 12 years to get retirement and TRICARE would have been a huge loss for me at this point.
Right. So you come back, you get into it, you take the leap of faith. I mean, as transparent as you can be, what was it hard initially? I mean, what do you feel like some of the main challenges or obstacles were?
Yeah, so when I got out, my dad was pretty old school. He had built up a good bed of referrals.
Okay.
But when I got out, a lot of people, think that I got out and just like rewrote my dad's policies or something.
Yeah.
He didn't have any reason to let me do that. Like, what am I going to go and steal all of his income?
Right.
Anybody that knows my dad knows he ain't taking a pay cut.
Right.
So, so he got out and he wanted me to, do well. But what he did at first was I got contracted under him at street level, and I would go and work direct mail or, different things, and I would write policies and split them 50-50 with him. So he would get 50% of the commission. Any marketing I do, he'd split 50% with.
Sure.
So it was a very unorganized way. He had never built an agency.
Sure.
So it was just, I was like that first agent to go out and do it with him. And we went out and I started doing the direct mail thing, Medigap to Medigap rewrites. I was pretty good at it from the get go. I mean, I would get into the house, at the time pretty well. I mean, I was real nice and polite, and I was persistent enough, and I was running those good fresh direct mail leads, and I was making money, but it was not a lot. It was wasn't compounding yet. It was half commission on everything, and I was rewriting like one med sup. I didn't know how to cross sell. I wasn't writing drug plans. There was no Medicare Advantage in our market really at all.
Right.
So it was really just me rewriting Plan F to Plan G, Plan F to Plan F, Plan G to Plan G, Plan N to Plan N. It was mostly Plan F back then. That was like everybody had Plan F. And it was just really slow. Like like a good week when I started was 5 applications.
Wow.
That was like, I wrote 5 apps. I felt like I was doing really well.
And to put that in comparison, we wrote 106 here last week in our agency.
Yeah. So it was slow, and there's some fast forward in there where I got kind of curious and started studying online marketing. There was a couple of other people where I would see them doing things, and I would think, man, there's definitely a faster way to replicate this process.
Right.
Driving around, and I was driving around an old Corolla, and just was not enjoying it. The process is not going to be something that I wanted to permanently do.
Sure.
I had, and then once you get a taste of something, you can think, okay, this works. While I'm doing this, can I figure out a better way to do it?
Yeah.
And we do that every step of the way. We're constantly trying to figure out a better way to do it.
And that's interesting you say that, because with the situation that you could have complained. Not saying you never did, or had some days where you were kind of frustrated with the 50-50 split. But it's interesting that you chose to be creative and innovative. Yeah. And because of that, fast forward today, Medicare guru community, now the owner, all this is happening. But let me ask you this. In that season, though, initially, what do you think was in you to say there's got to be something better? Because like a lot of people would have just said, well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But there was something in you that you were hustling, grinding, if you will. But then you said, man, I like what you said. I've seen other people do things. And so was it just something you reached out to people? Was it something that, you just said, hey, I'm going to emulate this? Or how did you begin those initial steps to think outside the box?
So, I mean, early on, I would see guys like Chris Westfall online. He was doing stuff. I didn't know exactly how he was doing things, but I would join his site. I would talk to, people that were FMOs. With my introduction to FMOs was I just adapted to whoever my dad was using it.
Right.
So built a relationship that happened to be, for a lot of what we were doing at the time, Galen Hendricks' group.
Sure.
But I was actually dealing with Taylor Martin with her. It was a partner of hers, and started. They didn't know who I was at the time, so I was like a nobody.
Right.
But Sean Hendricks, her son, was real gracious with me, and we would build. I would bounce things off of him. I've always just been real thirsty for like the information about what people are doing, and you'd hear these numbers and you'd see leaderboards and stuff, and like, hey, there's something else to this that we're not understanding. And then I would as I would pursue, I knew that the internet was a game changer,
right?
And I knew that when I came into it, people were doing paper applications on most companies, and everything was just slow. We were avoiding things that were high regulation just because we didn't understand them. And so I knew that there were horizontal moves, like adding products that were going to instantly increase our potential to write applications. We weren't doing any under 65 health, but I was getting asked about it.
Right.
So I started going to Sylvia Gordon from Gordon Marketing came to Tupelo, Mississippi, and she was doing this roadshow on United Healthcare, United Healthcare's Obamacare push. It was when Obamacare first actually launched. It's funny, is like I didn't get out 4 years earlier because of Obamacare, but when I did get out, it actually was just now taking effect.
Nice.
But we had understood like its impact on Medicare better. So I go to Gordon. I go to the Obamacare thing. I learned the Obamacare pitch. Start writing some of that. Convinced my dad, like, we need to writing these drug plans at least. They don't pay anything, but we were doing them. So I was like, well, let's just take one test a year and let's start writing them and building that up, which has been a great, other source of income
Right.
and referrals like crazy. But then I would look at internet marketing. I'd look at Facebook ads guys out there. I think early on I found Russell Brunson, or like back before ClickFunnels was even out.
Right.
When I was actually using lead pages, I was trying to use
Right.
lead
I remember
pages.
that program.
And I found Russell Brunson, and then found Dan Henry through targeting. Dan Henry was the guy that was running a Facebook ads course. So I take his Facebook ads course. The Facebook ads course was actually Facebook ads course for a marketer. So it was like trying to teach marketers how to run Facebook ads for other businesses, right? How to go out and find chiropractors or dentists or plastic surgeons. That was what they would tell you to do at the time. And I was like, well, maybe I can use this information to help me run the ads. So I take this course, it's about $1,000, which I didn't have. And I was real successful early on with it. Now, what I know now about marketing is I was successful because I had found a honey hole. And I didn't know that honey holes don't stay ripe for the picking forever. But I was really really writing a lot of business on a very small amount of money, like $5-10 a day in ad spend, and just getting multiple calls a day. If I found one like that now, I'd probably dump thousands a day into it. But they're hard to find. So I did find that one. And that helped me a ton, helped skyrocket us. But it also, even as it slowed down, we're like, okay, it is possible. We just may have to spend more money and diversify. So we started scaling different forms of advertising then, because we started believing in it a lot more. And my dad always believed in advertising. It was just more old school analog, mailing applications to people. Hoping they sent it back.
Well, it's interesting because the one thing I do like about you, even the short time that I've been here with you in this agency, is I love the fact that, there's an old saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Well, there's some truth to that, but it doesn't say we can't make or don't reinvent the wheel, but it doesn't mean we can't make the wheel spin a little faster and be more efficient. And I've always liked that about you. So that I think that's a good nugget here to just really harp on, is that you were willing to bet on yourself. You were willing to get out there and go, I want to be creative. I want to be innovative. There's got to be a more efficient way. I don't mind working hard, but I also want to work smart. And you brought those things together, and it sounds like it took off.
We never have ever tried to stop something that was working. For instance, they said, don't reinvent the wheel. Well, if the first guy that invented the wheel was riding a unicycle, he didn't have to reinvent the wheel, but he could add more wheels. And we got a bicycle. Now we got a tricycle. Now we got a car. So you can add more wheels. And if they say it's not broke, don't fix it. That's true. I'm not going to change what's working, but I can add other things that also work, or I can test other things and find out what else works. If I had, we're that way now. If I have a lead source that I'm for sure is, I'm breaking even on within a year, I'm not turning it off. It's working. But that doesn't mean I'm not exploring some other, secondary, tertiary lead sources to, continue to increase our footprint. And that's why we're feeding a whole lot of agents and administration staff now, because we have, a lot more going on.
So in all of that, marketing, tactics that work, all of this thing that we've been talking about, what's one thing that you would say for those watching this channel that you learned through that? Like that, because I think there's people that are going to be watching this, because this is kind of a different side of Justin here that you're seeing, the guru. What is a piece of advice you would give them, or something that you learned in that you say, hey, this will save you 4 years of what I went through if you learn this one thing from me right now watching this?
If you have something that's working very well, spend a whole lot of money, resources, and time trying to cultivate it as much as possible.
Gotcha.
There's a guy that that's got something that's working really well right now. And I don't think he understands how unique it is, and how it might not last forever, and he needs to scale it as hard and fast as possible. And he's kind of getting set like it's working and getting distracted, and I'm a little worried about the long-term play there. Because I think it needs to be, it needs to really be, I hate to say sucked dry, but
no,
I mean, you have to really, really work it because other people. There was this is a Russell Brunson saying I heard. I'm sure it came from somebody else before that, but I heard it from him. He said marketers ruin everything,
Right.
and I've said that to a million times since then because
Right.
if you have something that's working, a marketer's going to ruin it. So there were times where direct mail was dead. Now so many people are going to social that direct mail is not dead. And of course, it could be geographical. Like direct mail in certain areas is dead because too many people are mailing that area.
Right.
But then like LIS becomes a thing in our area, for instance, and that mail's working great. But it's because it wasn't a thing before. Nobody was mailing LIS here because there were no Medicare Advantage plans to put them on.
Right.
So what are you going to do? It was a dead market.
Right.
And so now it's working really well because those people haven't been inundated with that message. It's the inundation of the message that ruins the thing. So that's a big thing for me is anytime the message is ripe and working with people, eventually somebody else is going to figure that out and they're going to replicate it.
Yeah.
And then when they start to see it diminish, they're going to sell a course on how to do it.
Yeah. It's almost like we believe this false myth that no one else is going to figure it out. And so we kind of settle a little bit because it's working. You know, and it's coming in. And I mean, I think that's great advice. Just all in, whatever it takes, milk it dry, if you will. So I have a question. I've asked others, and I wanted to ask you this. If there was one word that you could use to describe yourself, what would it be?
I'm a little bit, I'm persistent.
Okay.
But I'm also, you know, I don't know what the word for this is.
Sure.
But I have a whole lot of ideas. I'm kind of obsessive.
Okay.
I mean, I sit around, like this weekend, I woke up at 5:30 on Sunday morning, and I wrote out an entire new compensation structure for LOA agents.
And it was legit. You shared with me earlier.
I mean, I woke up at 5:30 and I had this like burning desire to like map this out.
Okay.
And I sit there and did it on my phone on notes because it was
Wow.
cold upstairs. I didn't want to go to my office, but you know, but it's like that all the time for me. So I'm obsessive over it, and a part of that's just I love, you know, I think it's stupid for somebody to be like, I love Medicare.
Yeah.
You know? I love what Medicare does for me. I love its scalability. I love business building. I love people. There was an old saying in the Marine Corps was, do you miss the Marine Corps? No, but I miss Marines.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I love one thing that's really been awesome for me is getting to know more and more agents because those agents, I kind of feed off of them.
Right.
I knew this guy that was a lead singer in like a alt rock or heavy metal band, and he would talk about the energy he got off the crowd.
Right.
You know, I get that from the agent force, you know, now, you know, being the Medicare guru and like talking to people, and it keeps me super energized, and it's almost like it gives me this superhuman business strength where I like have so much energy and so many thoughts, and I'm communicating with so many people and learning so much so fast that I'm able to do cool things, awesome stuff. And so, you know, if I had one word, I think at this point it would be obsessive.
Okay. So it's the Medicare guru. We'll give him 2 words. Okay. We'll go 2 words. So let's start with obsessive. Okay. Obsessive and persistent. How has obsessive helped you achieve the level of success you've achieved today?
I don't view what I do as a 9-to-5 job. And to be fair to myself, I've never done that. I've always had this problem. When I was, even before I had the military create that persistency in one lane, I worked as a paint department guy at Lowe's when I was 18.
Right.
I'd go home and dream about mixing paint.
Wow.
When I worked as a bus boy at Applebee's and Red Lobster, I wanted to be the best.
Right.
I wanted to be the best one there.
Right.
It's just a little bit of a competitive edge. I actually think the military took that away from me.
Okay.
Because it's a different type of competitiveness. Yeah. There were factors in success in the military that, in my opinion, weren't just based on hard work. Some of it was like there was a lot of genetic concept. Like some people were terrible human beings. But the physical fitness test was really easy for them.
Right.
I had to work really hard to run good physical fitness. It's never been like this crazy easy thing for me. but it did kind of take some of that away from me. You'd also get into chain of command sometimes for somebody that was your boss, and you could outwork them, but because of a rank structure, you couldn't pass them. Whereas in this world, there is no rank structure. The person that works the hardest and is the most capable, and people that were doing a great job.
Right.
But being persistent is great because people will tell you, like people early on told me old people weren't on Facebook, which was stupid. I knew it wasn't true because my grandmother was 80 and she was on there.
Sure.
She was, inviting me to Farmville and telling me to help her, get her farm bigger on Facebook,
Sure.
So I knew that kind of stuff early on. I just didn't believe that. But people would always try to shut things down. My dad did for years. It was always, every new idea was, well, you want to do that? And thankfully, I had a lot of home runs quickly, so it kind of tore down those barriers for it, where it's like, well, this is a good investment. But of course, I've had some other ones, like we've tried PNC, and I think we'll have success with it later on.
Right.
We hadn't had like a tremendous amount of success. There's a lot that went into it.
Right.
It hasn't been a super successful lane. But adding PDPs and health insurance and Facebook marketing and creating YouTube content and spending time on these social media platforms and recruiting. My dad told me never to recruit. It was a waste of time. You didn't make enough. So there was a lot of these things that were said that I don't accept that. Like I'm not just like, oh well, so and so said that's not worth time.
Right.
And some people I think they allow other people's like projection of what they believe to like thwart their energy, and they just like, well, I'll just go back to I had a good idea. I'm excited about it. I think this is going to be good. And then somebody says, don't, I know I talked to a guy and he said there's no money in that. Some people will just recluse and like, I just go back to my house where I'm safe.
Yeah.
And that's never been me. I'm just kind of like, well, why did he say it? Like I've been borderline, like I'm kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people will tell me something like that, that I'm not, that it doesn't work or whatever.
Yeah.
And I question them to the point where my wife says something matter of fact like that. My default is to argue with her. And it's not because I don't want to argue with her. For me, arguing is like fun. Like we're making progress.
Right.
We can argue ourselves towards what is the right answer to this.
Right.
But it's not for her. She just wants me to shut up. But I do that with everybody. Yeah. It's not like I'm doing that specifically with her.
Yeah.
I don't take that answer like, oh, that's the answer.
Sure.
There's got to be more to the story.
And it's almost like we live in a culture, even our friends, family, sometimes the tribe, when we first started, almost like tries to eat away at the persistence that's in all of us. And not like you, obviously, you kind of broke through that and kept going, but a lot of people stop. They just take the status quo. They settled, if you will. They just exist. And so kudos to you for not doing that. Two last things, because I know we've been talking for a while and you've been so generous for your time. Apart from your family, your wife and kids, what is the most, I guess, the thing that you're most proud of in this whole Medicare guru empire that you've built?
I am very proud of the amount of agents that I think we have been able to help, persevere through things and begin to build practices that they're proud of, or maybe improve upon practices that they were struggling with certain concepts, being able to help them through. Because I feel like, for me, the gateway to helping, America's Medicare beneficiaries and senior citizens is through those agents.
Sure.
It can't be, I could be the best number one Medicare agent in the country, and it doesn't hardly knock a dent in it. But if I can help, 10,000 Medicare agents do better, and that helps them help 500 more Medicare beneficiaries, now I've helped another 500,000 people, where I'm never going to write I could be the best, not going to write 500,000 people.
Well, I can definitely say, because of your obsession and your persistence, that it's changed my life. And so, thank you for that. Last question. And what is one thing for all those that are watching that they don't know about the Medicare Guru? So before you answer, it could be a talent, it could be a skill set, it could be an embarrassing moment in your life. But what is one thing that you think we would never know about the Medicare Guru that you're willing to divulge, of course?
Okay, let's see. I have several things that I some people probably don't. You're going to know more of these.
Yeah,
than
sure.
most
That's
people.
why I'm asking though, because some people out there may not know.
I have like chronic debilitating cluster headaches.
Okay.
Probably self-induced from obsession and staring at screens a lot. I play guitar and play piano, and I'm real passionate about
actually
music.
really good at it.
I love music. Rob, if people don't know, the Medicare Minister is a beautiful singer and a good guitar player as well.
Yeah.
So
maybe one day we'll do it at the conference and charge a whole bunch of money for a private show.
We're going to have a live show with the Medicare band. We have the Medicare band.
Right.
Those are things that, I don't put out there a lot, but that's like, if I had a hobby besides this, I love playing, piano and guitar. I have bad headaches. Those are like some of my close to home things, and my, family aside from work. I'm just, very committed to my wife and children. That's the only thing besides Medicare agents that I really focus on. Very, very committed to them. And I'm sure I could think of some other things.
Well, like I said, I think what I wanted this channel to be about is just learning about you, like what the leadership side of it. But I think sometimes when you think of the Medicare Guru, people don't think you're a real person sometimes. And I know for me, the thing that I have gotten to know about you is that you have a really big heart for people. And I think sometimes that gets lost because you are so obsessive, because you are so persistent, because you are that visionary, always pushing through. And a lot of times people may think you don't have that heart for people that's out there. But, as one that's working with him, I see it all the time and I've seen it firsthand. So thank you for that. That's been a lot to me as a leader.
Really care. The culture in here is, huge for me. I want a place that I can go every day and be happy to come to.
Sure.
And I want a home that I can go to and be happy to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, we don't have like an infinite life. We have a certain amount of time, and I want to be, happy, and the people. Well, it makes me happy when other people around me are happy.
Sure.
I'm not happy going around people and being,
sure,
this down, like, having people that are just, miserable or depressed or unhappy or feeling like they have to be there. And it made me really happy the other day when you said that Jackson said he was telling his friends, like, this is a place that I don't even feel like I'm going to work. I just feel like I'm going to hang out with friends and write Medicare.
Yeah, Jackson's one of our newest agents, and he just said, man, I'm at work showing people videos of what we do at work going, he said, I don't even feel like it's work. I just show up to this place and we're doing cool stuff. You know what I mean? And that's really what it's like every day. We're not exaggerating. The culture here is wonderful. We like each other. We go to eat together. We go see movies together, play golf together, grill out together, spend holidays together. And I think that's one of the ingredients. Kudos to you, man, for pioneering that. And thank you once again. I know you're a busy guy. Thank you for coming and being part of this channel. This channel would not be possible without this guy. He allowed me to spread my wings and to run in my lane. And so I'm very thankful for that you're that kind of leader who's not intimidated, who's not insecure, but you really want to help people to grow the whole Medicare empire as a whole.
Absolutely. I know that you're going to be able to hit, a group of people that you're going to appeal to,
sure,
that probably overlap, but
right,
you're going to be somebody else's cup of tea, and
right,
that's going to help us all, help more people. So
as we close, where can we find you? Because there may be some people not on my channel that know where you're at. What's the best place to connect with you?
On YouTube,
right,
you just go over to youtube.com/Justin Brock.
There you go.
You can search Justin Brock Medicare. There's this guy. He's a skateboarder, and his name is Justin Brock.
That's not this guy.
And my secondary mission in life is to make YouTube and Google forget he exists. And we've been working on it.
Right.
Me and Sid have been working on this for a while. But we're gonna try to thwart him. When people pop up and say Justin Brock and the recommendations Medicare and insurance, still somehow the skateboard guy comes up. But and you can hit us up on justinbrock.com.
Yeah. On Facebook, obviously.
And MedicareCon.com.
Yes.
So you'll be at Medicare Conference 2022.
Sure.
Rob will be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ministering.
And we'll put all that info in the video description. Well, thank you once again, Justin, for your time, man. This has been just a small glimpse of behind the scenes with the Medicare guru, aka the Medicare goober, aka the Medicare. There may be more personas coming out in the future. Just stay tuned for that. But listen, like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys so much. And as always, make it the best day of your life.